Alright, so this is the camera that self-edited itself. I'm using this loop system to try to find errors in my code. And I know this sounds crazy, but by walking through it and by pointing to the appropriate items, I know it'll tell me where the error is, or it may not. You know, that's the whole point of this concept. But right now, as explained before, I had this sequence up here that I said is the building blocks of life, and that the golden ratio is actually hidden. If you look at pi through Fibonacci's eyes, the Fibonacci sequence, you can find the connections of the golden ratio in there, and it's actually reversed. It's at 30819 point. So you turn around and you repeat that. 1 0, so you have your 10 right there, but it's not really a 10, it's just a representative of an item that can change from a 0 to a 1. And then I noticed that everyone's trying to say, well, how can you justify your number description and your pattern that you've got if you're working with this? Well, I then said, well, if there's the Fibonacci sequence at the top, then there's got to be something. We'll see if there's something at the bottom. So we have 3 4 9 5 3 5 9 7, and that starts the sequence. But if you look at it down below, you've got 34, which if you take this to the next level, which is the 2 digits, is a 13. And then after that, it's 21. And then after that, it's 34. 34, 9, 5, 3, 5, 9, 7, 9. And now you've started your sequence and your pattern starts up. Now, basically, we're assuming that we know nothing. And we're just matching up the patterns from before. So a 3 can either be here or here. A 2 is only placed up top. A 3 can either be here or here. But you can only be one step away. For mathematics to work, it would have to be 9 equals 3 times 3, okay? And then 8 is half, or half, which is right under it. And if you don't believe me, there's 3 steps here, 1, 2, 3, which is actually the depiction of the 3 itself. I know this is like numerology, and people are like, this shouldn't be here. You're just reading into it. But if you do this step, if you follow these steps, you're able to walk through. The first steps are encoding of mathematics, of genetic sequencing, of how the 23s combine to make an 8 or a full DNA sequence. And then actually separate in half to replicate themselves to create an additional opposing 9s, which is 9 is the original sequence. So you separate yourself in half and you get this additional strand that is 23 of itself. And these are opposing sides that connect to make the DNA sequence. And people are saying, well, I don't know how else to get it. So I'm going to jump. So we've got 7, and we follow this all the way through. And then we get to a point to where 1 shows up. And everything is one step of each other, okay? Except for this. If I took the 1 up here, there would be an error. There would be a broken sequence. So then that pops up, and then that brings up the golden ratio. Alright? So what this says is that this starts the sequence right here. This is where the golden ratio pops in for the first time. The rules that apply. So if I put a 3 there, and then it's multiplied by 7, which is the next step, would give us 21. Alright, I just threw that in there, and I understand that that makes no sense, and you can't just do that. But what I'm saying is that this introduces the new sequence, and it starts at 3 of the golden ratio, okay, and works its way back to 7, okay? So in order to do that, we would do 30819 point, because you turn it around at this point, 0 or 1 0, because the rotation would actually depict the 30819 point, or you can think of it as 1 right angle, but that's the rotation that had to happen. So there's the 0 of the sequence, which would depict a right angle 1. Okay? I hope that makes sense. And again, there's no science behind this. There's no understanding behind this. This is basically stating that we learn from our predecessors. That's it. That's what this whole idea is based off of. And our predecessors keep repeating and repeating until the actual truth or the knowledge starts boiling to the surface. And those truths then repeat themselves to the next level of understanding, the next level of formation and all this crazy stuff. All right? So I appreciate your time, and I know this doesn't explain anything. It just states that this is our baseline. We're repeating patterns based on the lower numbers, which is like a heart monitor or brainwave scan, and we're just actually doing patterns. See, I messed it up down here. I tried to do a different code, but then if we go up here, this is how it should be, because the 6 is to the 3 is to the 4. So basically, you have to add these together. So this is an addition to get to the 8, which is above it, which is half. 4 and 4. Okay? And I know this is like, well, this doesn't make sense. You shouldn't be able to do this. What I'm saying is that we have seen patterns and patterns and patterns, and our languages are actually refining themselves to a certain boiling point, to where the knowledge is shown, the actual understanding of life's being is seen. And it's a hidden language that we don't understand, but it actually shows us step by step on how to replicate it. Okay? And by understanding the sequence, the actual what they're actually telling us, then we can replicate it in our own and mutate the actual understanding and knowledge. Okay? And that is our power when we actually choose to accept that responsibility. So I appreciate your time and listening to this step-by-step process. It's not a pattern yet. It's not a step-by-step sequence, but it's just a one-step movement of trying to figure this out. And this is the first step of the next step, because I know this 5 is key here. This shows the replication, the actual change that happens between an internal and external force. The connecting piece that would allow us to do what needs to be done to our external world. Okay, this is that little hair on the 9 that allows us to change the world around us. Okay, I know that. I just haven't found the sequence and how to explain it yet. So I appreciate your time and allowing me to float down this river of nonsensical information. All right, thank you. You have a good day.